We started off collecting seed, and it was very hit or miss because we had no idea when they fruited, and we thought it was one of those kind of hobbies that you could do when you felt like it, not when the hobby demanded that you did it. But we've learned a lot over 20 years and our entire summer is dependent on the progress of the seed harvest, because Indigenous vegetation tends to be not ripe, not ripe, not ripe today. Whoops, it's already gone. Sorry, that was there yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, you came by in the morning, it went in the afternoon, you come by this morning, sorry mate, it's gone. So anyway, we started off and we had about 20 species. We now collect more than 80 species of Indigenous seed. So that goes from grasses through little things like creamy candles, which as you would know are only 6 inches high. At the other end, we do eucalypts and we do banksias and she oaks and so on. And everything in between, all that understory stuff, which is so missing from our landscapes and is so important to birds and butterflies and so on. So stuff like hotbush and tea tree and bottlebrush, all of those meter high things. And for instance, in this district, I reckon there would have been probably about 15 different species of wattle indigenous to this area. Most people here, if they were quite knowledgeable, then might know 3 species of wattle. So there's all this richness that because most of our land has been cleared for agriculture, people just don't know about. They just don't even realise what they're missing. We collect all that seed. Now, it became apparent to us very early on that dashing out to go and get some grass seed from Linton's Lane and then dashing across to Barfold to get some daisy was actually not a very good use of fossil fuel and or our time and so on. So we started having the seed grown on for us. So we would collect the seed so we knew where it came from. We also knew that it came from a broad genetic base. So in areas that we actually refer to as seed orchards, but right through the property, wherever I've done any planting, I've used Indigenous plants because why not? So for instance, I showed you that photograph of the clematis growing all over where we park the car. We have a hedge out the front, that's hotbush. I mean, why wouldn't you use Indigenous if you can? But I think a lot of people haven't seen Indigenous plants in that way, so they don't realise that there are plants that will fulfill the niches in garden design that are Indigenous. The seed orchards were only in their infancy when the fire came through. Some things survived the fire. I mean, we were in the heart of the fire. We were in the, you know, if you look at the fire maps, we were in the highest temperature range here. So it wasn't as if we were just burned on the edges. I mean, we were right in the centre of the fire. But a lot of Indigenous plants had, regrew from seed. We sell our seed to anybody who wants to put in Indigenous vegetation. Of course, that limits it to an area, maybe within 40 kilometres of us. Depending on the seed, grass seed is fine to go further, but some of the daisies and things really should be quite local. We also stick to that because we feel a bit of a moral obligation that if we've taken the seed out of this area, it ought to go back into this area. Landcare groups buy our seed, individual farmers, a lot go into big projects in this area. You know, we don't particularly want to be selling them banksia seed, which is quite precious, and they go and, you know, put it in the other side of Casterton. A lot of people know that we collect and sell seed. It's quite seasonal, and quite a lot of seed has quite distinct use by dates. So however you preserve it. So daisies, for instance, are really only good for 2 or 3 years. Whereas eucalypt seed and acacia seed You can basically, as long as they're cool and dry, you can keep them for 100 years and they'll still grow.